Hello and welcome to CICD Test. As you all know, the whole course is there for free on YouTube for you to learn and excel in software testing. But if in case you are facing any difficulties in cracking the interviews, then we have come up with a complete new approach for interview preparation. So over here, we have the interview preparation Java plus Selenium batch. This is a live batch for 2 months. The course duration is going to be for 2 months. This is going to give you a complete boost in your confidence, as confidence is simply a byproduct of the knowledge that you have. Now to support this, we have our mock interviews from industry experts. We have a pool of manual and automation testing experts from the industry, and we will all come to cater you the best ever experience of a mock interview session. We are also going to provide you a detailed report of this interview session, wherein you will be able to identify what are the areas that you have to focus and what are your strong areas, so that you can lead your interview in the same direction as per your knowledge. The number of interviews that we are going to cover in this mock interviews package for 3,000 only is 2. So we are going to conduct 2 mock interviews, one mock interview to understand where you stand today, and the second interview will be conducted once you are ready with all the gaps covered as advised as a review of your first interview. Nevertheless, keep watching and learning for free. Happy learning, all the best.
Now let's go through the whole course. Okay. Allow me to take you through. So these are the tools that we are going to discuss. Java, of course, Java we are going to, understand as a language, and then see what is the language. We usually call ourselves a polyglot. We know Hindi, we know English. Some of you are from South, so you might know Kannada or you might know Telugu. Okay, and so once you know many languages, you call yourself polyglot. Okay, polyglot is someone who is having knowledge of many languages. Similarly, Java is also a language. When you were learning Hindi or English or any of the language that you have started speaking in, you have first learned saying words, right? Words, right? And then you have made your sentences. Usually in the very initial days, we used to say ma, pa, pani, bus, right? So these are the basic words that we used to say. Then we started making sentences, right? Then we have, while we are making sentences, we were focusing on grammar, right? So after this, we have started writing essays, right? And then in essays, we try to keep the logic intact, that whatever we are writing, it is sensible, it means something, right? We are not saying anything in a gray. Now, once essays are done, then complete answer sheets or, are presented. Answer sheets, you can say, or presentations you are making, right? This is mastery on language, right? Now, when we were learning words in Java, they are keywords. You have to know what are keywords, right? When we were learning sentences in Java, they are statements. There is if-else statements, conditional statements, loops, statements and loops, okay? So, in essays, we are writing, once we have learned all the statements, when we used to, like the way we used to learn or write essays in our language, what we are going to do, we are going to write logic here by learning grammar. Grammar is what in any language? The rules, right? The rules. So all rules we are going to understand in Java. Okay. And then the logic, of course, long scripts for logic creation. Okay. And then like the answer sheet and presentation, of course, we are going to learn how to report it. And for that, we are going to use our Selenium API. Okay. For reporting only, we are going to use extend. This extend we are going to use for reporting. This is extend. We are going to cover extend reporting. Then, of course, Eclipse is the editor wherein we are going to write our code. Okay. Today we are going to see how to download Eclipse. Then Selenium, of course, is the API which is going to embed into the Java language. And then, of course, Git for this is basically nothing. See, what we are going to do with Git. If anyone in the interview asks you, what is Git? Okay, so it's basically a version controlling version controller. So, or version management we are going to use. Okay. And what this does is basically it creates the code repositories. Now, let's say yesterday you have been allotted with some work and you are going to embed or you are going to merge this whole code, piece of code that you have worked on into the master profile, okay, into the master branch. Now, if you are going to merge into the master branch, you have to have access to the Git repository. Now, what is repository? The code that has been done so far. We are maintaining it on infra, which is Git. We are going to keep our whole code on Git. Now, there are ways where you can take that code into your machine. There are ways where you can push your code to that particular code which is there on infra. You can update that code. Now, when we work in a team structure, we always have peer reviews that, okay, fine, if you have done this, then we have to post check if you have done it correctly or not, and then we have to merge it with the main code. So this is something which is going to be managed by your manager or someone who is leading the team. Okay, so this is all about it. Now let's deep dive very carefully that what we are going to learn. So first, we are going to understand Java installation, Eclipse installation, what is JDK and JRE, and then introduction to project, package, class, method. Okay, what are these? A simple hello world. Of course, this is how we started, right? Back in our elementary school days also, we have started like this only, right? Then main method, custom methods. What are these? What is the difference between them and how to use them? How to really declare them and define them? Okay. Then method rule to write or run. I mean, the very basics. The very basics we are going to cover, guys. What are data types? Today, we are going to see what are data types. Okay. Today, we are going to learn data types once we install Java and Eclipse into our system. Okay. Now, what is static and non-static variables, and what is meant by static and what is meant by non-static? Basically, it is managing. It's basically used for memory management. Okay, just for the sake of just telling what exactly it is. Okay. Now, wrapper class, variables declaration and initialization. What are wrapper class? I mean, there is int, right? There is int in Java, but there is also integer in Java. Okay. If there is any difference, what is the difference? Or if there is no difference, then why they are different in the declaration, right? We are going to check that. Then variable calling in other classes. I mean, how will you, if you have made this class, okay, and then other class you have made one variable here, you want to use this variable into this class, how we are going to use that? Okay. So after that, in second week, we are going to understand parameterization, return type. So all basic has been done till the first week. Then we are going to jump on parameterization, return types, string concatenation. Okay. It is not necessary that the whole course flow is going to go in the same manner that is mentioned over here, but we will be covering each and every topic, because see, in the very first line, public static void main, for the main method declaration, only this line will have the complete, like around 50% of 50 to around 70% of your Java lessons is situated or is placed in the main method declaration line itself, because we'll see that, see, public static void main, okay, in bracket string args arguments, and then we start our main method, and then we write whatever we want to write. Now this public is what? Access modifiers. Static, again, static, non-static, we have seen over here, right? This one. Okay. Then void, the return types. How does the return types work? See, it is here. Okay. Then this is the name of the method, and then string is a class in Java, and then see, array of arguments. So even in this line itself, there are so many things that are, that are worth learning related to Java only. It comprises of a lot of, syllabus in Java. So this is important. Then conditional statements, if and else. Okay. Now moving on. Once we are done with this, guys, do not get confused. This is not 13. This is 3, week number 3. Okay. So once we are done with that, the basics, we are going to deep dive into the loops, the string manipulation, inheritance. What is inheritance? What are constructors? What is, what is the use of this and super keyword? These are all interview questions, guys. Okay. Now, once that is done, inheritance is a part of oops. Okay. Now, again, polymorphism is a part of oops. Okay. So inside polymorphism only, these are the questions that is going to come up on your face when you will start giving your interviews. What is upcasting? What is downcasting? What is method overloading? What is method overriding? These are all what? Polymorphism forms. So what happens is, like, once you are, see, in Java oops, object oriented programming structure. Okay. So oops is object oriented programming structure. Just see. Object oriented programming structure. Okay. Now this oops have how many things? It has inheritance, it has encapsulation, it has abstraction, and it has what all is left? You tell me. Encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, and polymorphism. Guys, see, we have just seen it here, right? So upcasting, downcasting, method overloading, method overriding, as we have discussed, is a part of polymorphism. Okay. Now abstraction. This is again an oops concept. Okay. Interface, again an oops concept. What is multiple inheritance and the difference with the interface? Okay. Then collection hierarchy. Collections in Java are the most favorite question of interviewers. What is collection? A list of items. Okay. So array, static list, or a dynamic list, which is array list. Array is different, array list is different. Then set. Okay. What is the difference between set and arrays? Right. A very favorite question of the interviews. Right. In arrays, let me tell you a brief of it, because if you are still facing some interviews, it will help you to at least understand one thing, that in arrays there will be a list of items or web elements or whatever you want to keep inside the string or integer or whatever you want to keep in this. And here also there will be a list of items. So what is the difference? This is also a list of items. This is also a list of items. Guys, in set there will be no duplicate items. Okay, there will be no duplicate items. In here there will be duplicate impressions of whatever data you have picked the list for. Okay, so this is the basic difference, but then the implementation, of course, we are going to see in the 4th week or so. Okay, then there is map, hash maps. What is the use case of map? So whatever we are going to learn in Java, we are going to relate it with Selenium, and we are going to focus on the why part. See, we have learned what? We have learned integration and differentiation in our college and school days, right? What is the use case of that in our real life today? Is it really giving us money in our pockets? No. At least for right now, no. Right? So whatever we are going to learn in Java, we are going to relate it with Selenium so that it is easier for you to understand, okay, fine, why we are learning what we are learning. What is the purpose of it? So everything we are going to relate it with Selenium. Okay, now moving on. Here comes your Selenium API. Inside your Selenium API, you will start your project creations. We'll start from the very beginning, the project creation, Maven project creation. And then these are like, launching a browser, then reaching to the URL. Like I said, it's just 1 or 2 lines of code. In the very beginning, we have discussed that, right? So navigation, backward, forward, these are the actions you are doing. These are the interactions you are doing with the web page or a machine or a browser, right? What is Chrome options? If you want to change something with the browser. So browser elements can be changed like this. Like you do not want to open a browser in automation. You just want that it should be executed at the backend and it should give me results. So headless mode is the way we can do it. That headless mode is only possible with Chrome options library. Okay. So web elements, what are web elements? Then locators. We have moved on from browser to the web page in here. Okay, Chrome is a browser, but web elements are on the web page. The web page can be opened in any browser, right? But why we are going to focus on Chrome? Because it's in the major use. And most of the clients, or almost all the clients, are going to ask you to operate or run your automation on Chrome browser only. But if in case there is a different demand, of course, we are going to create our driver factory so that in just one word declaration, one word will, make the decision for you whether you want to run that particular code or test case in Chrome browser or you want to, use any other browser for that. Okay. So relative XPath and absolute XPath, absolutely, bang on favorite question of interviews. Okay. And then locators, how, like I said, we are going to give one person a responsibility to, by is a class in Selenium, guys. So do not get confused. So all locators, we are going to give it to one guy who has joined you, and he will be giving us the XPath and CSS selectors to XPath and CSS selectors to the by locators so that we can simply pick these locators and we can start our automation. Okay. What I'm trying to say here is, guys, don't get confused that by locators or web elements. What are web elements? Everything and anything you see on a web page. If you have seen a button, it is a web page. If you have seen, let's go to facebook.com. Okay, Facebook. Let's see it here. Okay. I don't know why it is coming in Hindi. Okay. So let's see this. So if we simply right click and inspect, Okay. Now this is a small, there is a small arrow and screen over here. We are going to deep dive into these things once we start our Selenium session, but just for the sake of your knowledge. Okay. So once we'll click here, it will turn into blue. Okay. And now if you take your mouse to any point in the web page, like here, these all are web elements. What all has been highlighted are all web elements. See, this Facebook is also a web element, this logo. It is also giving you information what is this web element name, what is the role and all that it is giving. Okay. So again, see, this is also a web element. This small thing is also a web element. This is a different web element. And then in this button, this small radio button is also a web element. This female, what is written over here, this is also a web element, right? This text is also a web element. Anything and everything that you are seeing on a web page is a web element. Okay. So this is what we are talking about when we are talking about identification of web element over here. Okay. So how we identify these web element? We identify either by using the XPath or by using the CSS selector, right? Now there are automatic ways to do so. Okay, there are automatic ways to do so, but we are not going to focus on the automatic ways because in your interviews, people are going to definitely ask you to write an XPath for a particular web element. Let's say there is Google. Let's see, we are going to cover that as well in the next. See, so sending keys, the Google example, we are going to cover here, guys. See, so what we are going to cover in Google, that Google, we go to Google automatically, and there is a search bar over there. We are not going to write it. Okay, fine. We are going to write something on the search bar, but then it is not that simple. We are going to select, let's say, whenever you write something, there will be a list of suggestions that Google gives you. So inside this list of suggestions, which will only appear if you will write something and which will change if you change any text over here. So we are going to pick like say third suggestion from this list or say fifth suggestion from this list. So how we have to do that? So it's a topic in our course. Okay. And then calendar handling, of course, like moving from the very top to bottom, let's see, sending keys. I mean, there is an input field, which is a username. So you have to automatically type here. Or if there is something which has been already presented or written over here, you have to clear the text. For that also, you have to make sure that the text is clear and all that is done, right? So another thing is click action on buttons and the links. Of course, these are also the web elements. Okay. Then data scrapping. See, there is AI and there is ML. Everyone must have heard about this, right? So AI, what is AI is all about? AI is about giving structure. Okay. Giving structure to unstructured data. Okay. Unstructured data we are going to give structure to this unstructured data. Now, कैसे देंगे structure? वो AI के लोगों का काम है. But giving structure to unstructured data, where is this data coming from? From the websites, from elsewhere. I mean, there are so many places this data can come from, but of course, in the website or in the web format only. They are going to get the data from the websites only, right? Or they are going to reach to any other platform, even that platform is automatic. So this data collection part, the data scrapping part can be done by Selenium. Okay, this is done by Selenium. And then if the element is displayed or is present or is enabled or is selected, these are the things that we are going to see. Now, is displayed is different from is present. If this Is present does not mean that it is displayed as well. Okay, let's say there is some admin portal and there is some employee portal. Okay, now these employees can only see the parts of the web page which has been permitted by this admin. Does that mean that those parts will no long will be present on the DOM? What is DOM? If we see again this, even this is a web page, right? If I inspect anything over here as well, it will work. See? So this is the HTML, this is the DOM. Okay. So whatever you want to call it, you can call it. Whenever your client or your manager or anyone of your colleague is going to mention that we have to check the DOM, this is what you have to check, right? This is the HTML paging. Okay. So this, what we are going to do, that we are going to automate using the DOM itself. Okay. So in that DOM, we can see, okay, fine, that in that DOM, the element information is, present. It is present, but it is not displayed on the, okay. It might be, there might be a lot of elements in here in the same, web page that will be present in the DOM, but it is not displayed to the end user. Okay. So these are all the things that we are going to cover, and also the locator strategy. I mean, the way that I have just told you that the locator strategy, we are going to give it to one guy who is new in the team. And then select class. Select class is used for drop down handling, select and deselect a drop down, multiple value selection, and then the radio buttons and checkboxes. Action class for mouse over, drag and drop, and right click, right? Performing click and send keys using the action class. I mean, there is another way that we can do these things using the like action class. Of course, Selenium has given us a library for that, but then action class is also providing us that, right? Then this, we have already discussed the Google search automation. Then calendar handling. Guys, this word is a lot of, this word has created a lot of buzz in the market, but then calendar handling is nothing but it is basically traversing the table, the web table, I should say. Okay, the web table. Now, what is web table? You right now, World Cup, Cricket World Cup is running, right? So it's happening. The Cricket World Cup is happening in India. Now, you go and check your live scores. Okay, uh, these live scores would have a complete tally of, let's say, Virat scored a century. Okay, so these many balls and these many runs and this is the strike rate, and these all statistics are written for Virat Kohli, and then there is Shreyas Iyer, there is different, so different people have different stats. So this all information is divided into a tabular format. You go to ESPN Cricket Info, you go to Go IBO calendar. Okay, you go to you go to any other site, say Make My Trip or any other site you go. Okay, it is not necessary that all sites would have a calendar. I think Go IBO does not have calendar handling framed in a web table format, but there are many sites who have framed their calendar in web table format. So there is nothing, just what we are going to cover here is that how to traverse a table. If you have TD, if you have TR, if you have TH, okay, table header, table data, table rows. So how to traverse in these table rows and table data and to reach finally to a point where we want that particular information to be stored in a variable so that we can validate it. Okay, so this is how it works. Moving on, once this is done, the Selenium API is done, and switching windows, of course. inside the Selenium API itself, the switching of windows. This was one window that I'm working on, and then I'm automating, my automation is running, and then I want to move on to a different window. So how to take your pointer from here to here is about switching windows. What is the difference between close and quit? There is one method which is close in Selenium, and there is another method which is quit. What is the difference and when to use, right? Handling pop-ups. Whenever a screen, see, your automation is working on this screen. Okay. Now there is a pop-up on this screen. Okay. Now the pointer is here. You have to take the pointer to the pop-up. So how to switch, right, to the pop-up? Similar is with the alerts. You might have seen while even joining this video also, there must have been an alert. In some systems, there must have been an alert that allow camera or mic. Okay, so there was one button which is allow, and there is one button which is deny. So this is again, this is not on the DOM, this is not on the web page, this is on the browser. So we have to take our pointer from web page to again browser, right? So this is also a technique that we are going to cover. Handling frames. See, let's say this is a web page, and here is the scroll of this web page. Okay, this is the scroll action. But again, there is one web element inside this web page which is having a separate scroll for this, like terms and conditions. You must have seen. These are the terms and conditions. So you have to scroll it to the end, and then you have to click on submit or agree, right? So this scroll is again what it is. It is given in the different frame, right? This whole web element is into different frame. So we have to take our pointer from this to this frame, and we'll be working here. And once we are done working here, we have to take our pointer from here back to where it was, to the web page, right? So how we are going to handle these kind of things, that we are going to cover. Okay. Now wait is very important to be covered in Selenium, guys. Wait is also the most favorite topic of interviewers. So we have to cover everything related to wait. What are static waits? Static wait is thread.sleep. The most idiotic way to really run your program on, right? So thread.sleep we are going to use while learning our Selenium API. We are going to use it a lot. But when we start working on framework, or even when we know what are explicit wait and what are implicit wait, okay, so that moment is the moment that we should only depend on these waits. Okay, so that is also we are going to cover. Then WebDriver wait, of course, it is part of explicit waits. And fluent wait. These are the two fluent explicit waits: WebDriver wait and fluent wait. So this is we are going to cover. Then when we are going to start our framework, okay, in framework, what we are going to learn is that we are going to create a utility method for all. I mean, once you understand what to automate and how to automate, you are going to understand how to manage your automation. This is about managing your automation. Now, till here is something which you can, learn from your peers. You see, you can bits and pieces you can learn from elsewhere. But what is the use of that if you are not using a framework around it, right? So better that you learn it in a structure, and finally you have come up here. So we are going to tell you the whole structure that you should follow, right? And in framework, we are going to create different utility methods, and then locator management, by locator management. That this is the same thing that I've said in the initial period of this class. Okay, then TestNG, of course, all TestNG annotations, most favorite interview questions. What is POM framework? Okay, what is driver factory creation? How we are going to manage our browsers? Okay, this is about it. And then moving on, what are the techniques of creating static variables, wherein we are only giving static definitions to those variables to be used in future. So config.properties is one way. Okay, driver factory, we are going to connect it with the config.properties, and we are only going to say Chrome. Okay, in config.properties, we are going to give one variable and we are going to say Chrome, and the whole piece of your work, your test case is going to execute on Chrome. The moment I change it to, let's say, Firefox, okay, then the whole test case is going to run on a different window on Firefox. Okay, so these are the ways we are going to handle our browsers. So then page class creation. So this page class creation is for logic creation. Okay, logic we are going to write here, page class. And then in test class, we have to write our assertions, which is what? Which is validations, basically. Okay, validation of this logic. What we have come up from, what we have got from this logic as a return type, we are going to validate in thing that is important to be done before the the test case is going to run, okay, which is login. So in base test class, we are going to keep our login feature. Okay, then driver factory, elements util. Elements util is basically giving a utility, making a utility of all the actions and all data collections and actions. We are going to create a utility for that, and we are going to simply use one line of code to call that utility. Elements utility is basically the same thing that we have seen in the Selenium API for the previous weeks. Okay, so we are going to create a utility around it so that just one line calling and you are able to do the task. Okay, then element utility connection with the base test class and the page test class. I mean, this is how the whole framework is going to work, right? This is the reason that you have to first learn form framework. Then test runners will be there, regression test case execution, and the smoke and sanity. So different test runners is going to be created for different cases. Like regression, there will be a different suite. Smoke and sanity, there will be a different suite. Okay, things you are going to, like in manual also, things you are going to cover in regression, you are not required to cover those things in smoke and sanity, right? This is how manual testing works, right? So the smoke and sanity test suite will be having a subset of regression test suite, which we have to run before the deployment and the moment we receive the build from the developers, and the moment we QA sign off the build to the other team, right? So these are the things that we are going to cover here. Then JavaScript utilities. There is one there is one method which is JavaScript executor. Okay, we are going to embed this, we are going to import this. Okay, why we are going to do this? Because Selenium has given us a way to click, and then we have seen our actions class, wherein also we have a click and send keys option. But many a times after JS sites has come up, React.js, AngularJS, and all these, some web elements are difficult to interact. For that purpose, we have even if you use your click and your action class, even then also you will not be able to interact with those web elements. That moment, the Ramban, the final thing is JS executor. This will always work. Okay, so we are going to create a utility for this as well. Then how to execute parallel test execution. Okay, what is parallel test execution, guys? Test case 1, for this one window has opened. Test case 2, for this another window has opened. Test case 3, for this another window has opened, and these all windows are opened like this. This is one window, then this is other window, and then this is another window. So by with this execution, one after the other, this is not one after the other, this is parallel execution. Okay. So parallel execution when multiple test cases are running simultaneously in different windows. But there is a catch. If this test case is having some dependency on this test case, right? Let's say test case 1 gives us the output, which is basically this output is the input for test case 2. Then you have to, if the dependency is on test case 1, then you have to mention it clearly that this should be executed only after this is executed. Okay, so these are the scenarios. Then importance of reporting and what are listeners and extent reporting. This is what we are going to cover, of course. Then once this is done, your framework is done and your all knowledge on framework is absolutely fine. Now, what you are going to do, you are going to start your Git management, the management of the code, the version controlling system, which is Git basics, status, add, push, how to create a child branch from the master branch, how to pull, how to clone, and Git ignore integration. Also, the peer review system we are going to see in this. Okay. Now, once this is done, your mock interview drills will be started. It is very important for you guys to really go through the complete mock interview drills. Okay. So it is very important.